think the honorable thing for our species to do is deny our programming. Stop reproducing. Walk hand in hand into extinction. One last midnight, brothers and sisters opting out of a raw deal.
Do not trust any friends or family members. I repeat, do not trust friends.
Oh, I was gonna say there's just this comment I saw that was like, leave it to rich people to figure out a way to die on the Titanic 100 years after it sank. That was pretty great.
I think I'm drawn to it because of the fun.
Oh yeah, well,
of like, of just
oh my
fat.
goodness! So I'm watching the explosion right now, like the dramatized explosion.
Yeah, if that's what happened, wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
where's this? Did you share that?
No, but you can find it like just Google exploding sub. It's the talk of the town.
All right.
Yeah, I think the best was my brother's line when he was talking about the that reporter that asked if they were going to try to recover the bodies.
Oh,
They fucking looked at her like she shot a chicken because they were like, he was like, what the fuck are they going to use, a pool skimmer?
Yeah. No, that's such a boneheaded question. But I guess, I don't know, I'm with you, Chris. I tried to ignore this for a good while, but then when it became clear that like all hands were lost, I really couldn't help it. Because I was like, fuck, we're so much money and time are we spending with these stupid rich assholes, and
Yeah.
like at first that was my concern, and I was like, fuck these guys, I don't even want to pay attention to the conversation. But then I learned that they all died, and I was like the Grinch, when
Is
he
it
gets
official? Is it official? They all died?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they found a debris field of like
All right.
bits of the ship. It imploded and just they were all crushed.
Well, that's a problem for them, I think.
Yeah, my heart resizes this day.
And then
so
the have you seen if you go on Amazon and find that Logitech knockoff PS2 controller that they were using to pilot this thing? People have done these reviews on it. Oh, it's 1 star. Didn't really work too well on my fucking submarine and shit. Like they just spam reviewed, and then Logitech stock is like dropped like 50%. Yeah,
that's hilarious. That's how you get to buy it.
There's like a video clip of the guy like selling this fucking ship, I guess, and he's like, yeah, we keep like 4 of these Bluetooth paddles in the fucking ship in case one fails. It's a tire fire.
Yeah.
I saw that they like waived their right to sue if it didn't work properly. Like
we were just talking about that. Yeah. Really?
Yeah, they have to. That's got to be a condition of like.
But I mean, like, there's got to be that's what I was just saying to James. I was like, there's got to be a workaround for that for just brutal, gross negligence.
I guess. Well, it comes down. Well, and we'd have to see the language on it. Like I think where we and James landed was there's got to be something, but who knows, right? It's entirely possible, like a full and final and complete release, like all the lawyerly language you could possibly muster. It's possible.
Which one am I looking at here? Is that like there's an underwater submarine explosion in slow-mo?
That's like a dramatization of what they think happened to them, which is great.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny.
Okay, it's not on the mirror. That they'll hook us up, I'm sure.
Yeah. I was actually telling James here, Chris, that there's a guy that a lowly millionaire actually that had signed up for this before, gave a 10% deposit, showed up and noticed that they had used old scaffolding to reinforce this thing. And then when he saw the PS3 paddle, it was a deal breaker. He was like, no, I'm not getting in this. So
that guy's going to be feeling, I don't know what you'd be feeling.
Patting himself on the back.
Probably like just horror too. Like, what if he made a different decision,
Yeah, what about the Indian dude that brought his 19-year-old son with him, the business guy?
Oh, who's the guy who like his son like shouted out like an OnlyFans model, like when he was like praying for his dad or whatever?
Oh God, I don't know.
Yeah, that was like one of the articles that caught my attention.
Jesus Christ, this just gets worse and worse.
Yeah.
And better simultaneously. It's
I know. Do we have AI to thank for all of this?
Oh, we might. Actually, you know what?
Second.
If it was proper AI, it would have been a good job. You know, if it was person of interest AI. If it was the machine. So yeah, all right. Extinction Agenda, everyone. How you doing? It's James. Come on.
Oh and yeah, James. Yeah.
And Chris.
Jesus. All right. We are not a machine. That's clear.
No, I can easily be replaced by AI.
So I love this show, and you guys had never seen it, I don't think. Maybe James, you had seen some episodes.
No.
Yeah, I had seen a couple.
Person of Interest, which ran from 2012 to 2016, I think it was. The final episode, actually, we're almost at like the last episode aired June 21st, so like yesterday, 2016. Not that that's important. I just thought it was kind of neat. And you were talking, there was Chat GPT is made us all for a brief period talking about like what artificial intelligence is, and you James had an itch you wanted to scratch about the fantasy of AI let loose in the world, and I was like, you know what, I got just the thing. And so yeah, anyway, I don't know how we should start. I mean, what did you guys think of it? Let's start there. Or maybe we should say what episodes we watched for anyone who gives a shit.
Sure, yeah, I like that.
All right, so we watched 5 episodes. I selected 5 episodes in the hopes that they would capture the essence of the entire arc and also some of the things. Anyway, so like season 1, episode 22, No Good Deed. I won't say all the writers and all that shit. We'll talk about those guys later. But and then 2 episodes from season 3. In the middle of season 3, episodes 11 and 12, Leth and Alethea. And then season 4, near the, I guess it's the final episode of season 4, Yahweh. And then the final episode of season 5, Return Zero. Anyway, that was tedious. Sorry about that, everyone.
No, good.
What'd you think?
I really liked it. I think it's a fantastic show. I'm really big on Michael Emerson. Finn Harold. He's just such a great actor. And I don't want to talk about this as like odd stuff later, but I don't know how to pronounce his name. Jim
Caviezel,
yeah. Mr. Reese there. Right. He's very cool actor. It had a sort of a downstride on his career from he was like an A-lister at one point.
Well, it's got to be Passion of the Christ that did that.
Oh, that just like ended his career?
Maybe like 2014 though. I don't know what. Anyway, you're right though.
Like he's still working.
He was in Thin Red Line.
Yeah, he's still working, but he was on the fast track there.
Yeah. Well, he's back. He's back now, better than ever. So, or I don't know. Actually, I have no idea what he's done since then. He's become he's a right-wing Christian shithead, I think. I think that's what happened to him.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Oh boy.
Yeah. I could be wrong about that. If so, I'll Jim Caviezel can come and kick my ass.
No, he's too old now.
Yeah.
He's too old.
So you like the Jim Caviezel?
Yeah.
Right. And Chris, I don't know. What did you think?
Yeah, so at first I really wasn't into this. I think spy stuff just doesn't really do it for me. But I did come around in it a bit because of the for me the defining moment was Amy Acker showing up with like Black Ops competence, with her like fanaticism of like just like I hear the machine and no one else can. This sort of like wide-eyed, psychotic kind of hot thing that I didn't know I needed in my life. And then from there it took some good turns. It really built to a point where like nothing felt safe after a point. Like everything that is set up turned on its head, and I could see that would be pretty engaging week to week, even though like I felt I didn't understand some of the character motivations or some of the reversals, or I think there's some stuff to talk about there in terms of tone or like what are we endorsing here.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, but overall, yeah, it was pretty cool.
Oh, I'm glad to hear this, guys, because this was always I never expected to like a show like this. Like, this is a dad show, and I know I'm a dad, but I liked it before I was a dad.
It's true, because there are you can even just flip down on your IMDb and go to the parents guide, and you'll find that it is appropriate for most people, right. Including kids, because it's a muted, it's a 6 p.m. TV show.
Right.
It
was on CBS.
It's making Special Victims Unit look rough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's right in that. Like, you got it. And 14 million people watched this show. Like, it was very popular.
That shocked me.
Yeah.
And this actually, the funny thing is, this came out like during peak dad time for me, like
right
2014, 2013. Like I had both my kids, and like so I was like full on like sleepless, like not aware of pop culture, just like grinding through the days. And so I remember seeing like a little bit of like maybe some TV spots for this. I was like, what the fuck is this shit? Like it's like just another procedural sort of drama,
Yeah, well,
with Ben Linus.
Yeah, with Ben Linus. Which one's Ben Linus?
Oh, Harold
from Lost.
Oh, I see. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so let's talk about the fact that like another reason I would have disliked this show early on, and I discarded this as a idea for a long time, and then I listened to some guys on a podcast that I really like, and at the time they were so into it, and I just couldn't. They liked so many of the things that I liked. I was like, I'm gonna have to check this show out. I bet it's actually for me, and then it turned out to be the case. But it's surprising because it is a procedural, like, and it retains its procedural element even when the major plot is going forward. It's like a problem is produced, in this case by the AI, and they have to go get a person of interest and rescue them, and somehow, and then resolve the plot or whatever. And for the first season, possibly two, like, that is what the show was. Like, there was a through line, but every episode was full procedural, and it didn't make the shift to the Samaritan arc until like midway through season 3, the episodes I got you to watch. And so it had a hard procedural element, which like I said, it clearly retained. But
yeah, it's like a formulaic kind of thing, which they use that in these type of like, it's in the vein of the police / spy show, where like Special Victims Unit, or that was CSI, just I'm rolling back to my first example, where it's like your setup basically is the same every episode, and you just like alter like plot points and the character that you're rescuing's introduction, or the bad guy or whatever, right?
Yeah, and it's remarkable how well they pull it off, and like, what a brilliant conceit. Because okay, Chris, when you called it a spy show at first, I was like, I wasn't taken aback, because that's an exaggeration, but I was like, it's not a spy show. And then I was like, fucking, it's a spy show. Of course it's a spy show. Yeah, it's all about spying. And I was like, shit. NSA,
it's funny. CS,
it's
the whole security apparatus, their surveillance apparatus.
Yeah. And it's funny, I just didn't put it in that box at all, but it's clearly very much there. It's post 9/11, it's post 24, all that shit. But yeah, what a brilliant conceit to have the procedure, the issue that shows up because of like AI, that and to turn everything into like, it turns into pretty hard science fiction by the end of this, and that's just a remarkable transformation. And such a great bones for storytelling.
It's a very J.J. Abrams kind of arc too. He is the executive producer, right?
Yeah, but the big guy is Jonathan Nolan, Christopher Nolan's brother, who wrote Memento and Interstellar and
Oh, no shit.
Dark Knight.
Okay. I didn't realize that it had some pedigree behind it.
Yeah, him and Greg, how did I hear his name pronounced? Pledgeman or something like that. And they got their new show is on Amazon, The Peripheral. It's actually, I watched the first episode.
Oh man, I read that book. I love that book.
Oh, okay. Oh shit.
It's William Gibson.
Right. Of course, they say that right up front. But well, anyway, it seems like a really good adaptation, and it's right up their alley. And anyway, so that's who's behind it, and you see it you see the Jonathan Nolan at work in all this like emphasis upon memory and memory.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That I didn't realize. I didn't make that connection, but okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. But it is like I think I don't know how the structure is set up. I mean, obviously Abrams is involved, but it is primarily a Jonathan Nolan joint. I mean, it says right up front, like right in the opening credits, created by Jonathan Nolan.
Right. Yeah.
Although I don't think you guys had credits, but no, go on.
Oh no, sorry. I was gonna say for me, the first two episodes, I'm in the same boat as Chris. I was like, okay, like, cool, I get it. And then since I like Jim and I like espionage, I was talking to you about that earlier. I felt like Chris, we did a little bit of talk about a grifter, but and I'm sure you're familiar with back from your old Image days. I don't know how much Image you dipped into. Oh
yeah, enough to enjoy
enough to know the grifter, man. Yeah. But that's what I was saying was like I felt like the Reese character is similar to or as close as maybe you could to get to that type of a character.
That's
sort of like a high end Black Ops, but like maybe like a bit more of a glazed over TV immersion version, but like someone that can dismantle SWAT teams is not concerned about that. And then like an invincible marksman, sort of like very weird, like super tactical. So it was fun watching him, but then I was like, okay, like what are we getting at? But when we hit that third episode where I can't remember she ended up being like a bigger character as the show went on.
Oh, Control.
Yeah, Control. She was amazing. Yeah. Oh, I loved her. What a horrific actress. And when she started pumping Amy with the barbiturates and amphetamines, threatening to explode her heart with some grotesquerie CIA tactics, and then extracted that bone from behind her ear so she was deaf in the one ear and she couldn't communicate with the machine. That was fucked. I was really uncomfortable. I was like, whoa, this show just tipped over the edge.
I knew that was going to be like when I assigned these, I was like, okay, I got to like these early episodes. You need them for context, just for.
Yeah, I got to know what's happening, or I have to sort of know what we're dealing with.
But I knew because that's what it was for me too. Like season 3, episode 12. That's when I properly fell in love with the show.
For sure.
I was like, holy fuck. And then this other AI shows up, and suddenly you realize what the show's about to become.
Yeah.
And like this whole universe opens up, and it was so
the
exciting.
Religious language of I almost like Amy Acker. I almost thought that she was going to be like possessed by the machinery. Like I'm the interface. You want to talk to it? Then put a phone in front of me.
She was though possessed.
Yeah.
Like her. Kind of. It was so weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of broke away from that. In the 5th episode we watched, she was just sort of like advocating for the machine. But the dueling AIs, and then the obviously the sad memory loss episode too, the with the sort of the Claypool and the birth of Samaritan and stuff. That's it. And there's some like holes thinking like on an old ass fucking hard drive like that. You couldn't possibly put enough like half decent coding in that type of a memory atmosphere to create anything like this, obviously, but that's fine.
Yeah,
that's okay. Suspend my disbelief. And then the other thing that was like sort of almost scary about it is thinking that that like if they were like paranoid about this tech, and I know it's funny because I remember when the Face ID came out on the iPhone, and then it came out on the Huawei phones when I worked for one of the big telcos in Canada. They had I remember there being like this paranoia because China was really big on developing this facial recognition software that basically was looking very similar to this, where you could get pinged off of these cameras and they'd put them on all high traffic hotspots, subway entrances, things like this, and they could see problematic people, and they were going to start. There was like, I don't know if they're still doing this, but that they were supposed to be tying your credit score, your criminal record, anything, and basically just rating you as a class of person so that they could know if there were like problematic people going into any areas they shouldn't be, or they could sort of like hone in on certain things, and then they were going to give access to the system to the police. Obviously a little different in a dictatorship. I'm calling it that.
What, China?
Yeah.
It's funny you thought we would be defensive about that.
I'm not sure. I don't know. Hey, man, like Emperor Z or whatever was all excited. He was all passionate about it because Smoking Joe called him a dictator the other day.
Yeah.
Right.
He's like, come on, man, I'm a duly elected president. Fuck off, bro.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So yeah, the facial recognition technology and stuff. Yeah.
But yeah, very cool. And it's just scary to think now that if that kind of technology or software existed, that it can be embedded, it can be backdoored into phones, tablets. You could see every room of your house. You could see anyway. Just frightening prospect for today's day and age. Anyway, and it's funny that the it's been sort of snuffed out. Like either no one cares, or I'm pretty sure just no one cares. And then they're cool with just being spied on now.
People are now just willing to give up their privacy. Like they'll just throw it out the door. I mean, if you've installed TikTok, you've done it. Like.
Yeah, and I obviously. Yeah, it happens all the time. Although it's strange to hear, like, I think you guys know my attitude about this. I won't have voice activated things in the house. I don't have the camera stuff. Here. I don't have this and that. And I find it very frustrating because I see fantasies like dark fantasies, like things like Person of Interest, and like you were saying, James, like it's there are a lot of fantasy elements to this story. Like I don't think the system as established in this could ever possibly exist to this machine-like clockwork effect, because surveillance isn't that successful. It's not that all-pervasive. But I think about everybody's Siri. All that's required for totalitarianism to be established is just for a change to Siri. Like that's it. Just to switch it so it listens all the time, and everybody just puts it in their house. Like you used to have to like be subjugated by a despot in order to have surveillance apparatuses thrust into your home and like inescapably from your own home.
Yeah,
and we just mine. And we're just like we just set it up. We just set it up, and then
all you need
it frightens
to do
me.
Is
it deeply frightens me.
Yeah, as long as it like provides some minor convenience, then like people will just willingly accept it.
Boy, would you guys ever be disappointed by a screenshot of my Google Home setup?
Well, it's fine.
It's woven through the whole house. And again, this goes back to, we've had this conversation before too, James. Is my take on this is like the most you're gonna get out of the average person is that I like shopping for comic books and video games. I enjoy He-Man, and I look at Pornhub. But congratulations to you, surveillance information. You've done it, Google. You know it all. Now you
but I think
tailor and monitor whatever you like. It's not. I don't know. Maybe that's just me being. I don't have anything that I need to hide to the point where I, like you say, I feel that the small conveniences outweigh sacrificing whatever fucking privacy I didn't have anyway because some toilet bowl moron leaked my information onto the black web 3 times prior to Google stealing my information anyway. So sort of shoulder shrug for me.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think what I'm not concerned about the fact that credit card companies are making advertising models out of me and have been since the 80s. Like that, Google's just another version of that. That's not what concerns me. Like, I'm not concerned about what someone watching me on the internet. What I'm concerned about is someone watching my body traveling through space and tying, well, I mean, like watching my walking around and stuff, like just like watching me, actually watching me. And that's, or listening to me, right? Like that's very different. How many intimate conversations do you want recorded? Really, people need to ask themselves that and decide whether or not like that's something that's what they're willing to give up. So I just think it's very different. And what this show is about a system in which, even though it's unrealistic, like all the cameras are tapped and all the phones are hacked, and like this central artificial intelligence, much like the American PRISM system that the NSA had developed, like it's sifting through all this information and hunting people. But as Harold says, it sees everything, not violent crimes, and this, maybe it might be an opening to what you're talking about, Chris. Like the concern that I have for this show, as much as I love it, is just like it celebrates a system like that ultimately. Like even if it's
exactly.
Like at the end you're rooting for the fact that yes, the surveillance state survives.
I was so confused by it. And so I think like it would be helpful to get a little context too, because first of all, Agent Root, was the AI she was first talking with, was it Samaritan or was it the machine?
So it was the machine. So Root starts off as a precocious young girl who's hacking the net and bumps into the machine. And becomes its acolyte and worships Harold as its creator. But then, and she's insane, like she's the villain at first. And then she's sort of like, I don't know, not reformed because she stays crazy, right? She's a sociopath with a heart of gold, as they say.
Okay.
And
she's a bit Joan of Arc in a way, maybe.
Sure, I'll buy that. Yeah. She, believes that she hears the voice of God. Although she becomes more disenchanted with the machine as the series goes on as well.
Okay.
And like you see that when she's like, if you want to survive, like get in the game,
Right.
It like they believe in it, but it becomes more human along with them.
Yeah, that I picked that up too in the last episode, that the machine becomes sort of like they sort of start treating it more as a peer.
Yeah.
Or there's, I think, in the next to last episode where it's failing to against Samaritan, failing to stop the false flag attack, basically, and then they play "Welcome to the Machine." It's like, I'm sorry, Father, I failed you.
What a beauty! They must have somebody must have been like waiting, just like licking their chops to play that song.
Absolutely.
Just waiting for the sweet spot at the end of the series.
They had a great, you guys, they don't, obviously you didn't watch as many episodes as me, but they had a lot of good mic drops, like a lot of good needle drops, throughout,
I did notice the soundtrack was fairly lit. Must have spent some bucks on that.
Yeah. I think it is, what's that Radiohead song?
Tool?
No.
Exit or
thank you. Yeah, exit music to a film. Is that right?
Yeah. I think that's what the one it was. Yeah.
Yeah, it gave me chills. It was good.
Yeah. So they knew when to do that. So I don't know what else about Roots. And then she just becomes part of the squad. Like the best thing about this show is that it's essentially like a superhero story as well.
Right. Yeah.
You've got the genius, you got the Punisher type guy or grifter or whatever you want to call him. Go on.
I hated Jim Caviezel in this. Like just that fucking voice. That fucking voice that is always the Batman voice is always trying to do. Yeah. And that, it's so funny that you mentioned that it was the guy who did the script for Dark. Like he must have like told them to do that.
Well, it's possible.
Just my least favorite moment was like how, and I mean, again, we're just getting like little glimpses and snapshots from what we saw, but he obviously had a big crisis of faith, and then like what pulled him out of it is some fat oaf like dragged him out in an alley for a fist fight, and like then he got over it and was like, yeah, like I guess it's okay if some people, we can still help some people because I fought with a fat oaf, and it reminded me of the joy of being a thug.
That's an uncharitable view, but I like it.
I really enjoy that as well.
There was like, so when Reese starts the series, it's unfortunate that again, if it was up to me, we would have watched like 8 episodes. I think that would have like captured more. But when he begins the series with a crisis of faith, he's like a bum. Like he like 9/11 fucked him up, and he went to war, I think, and he lost his wife and something or other. I don't know. I forget.
He is the Punisher.
Yeah. And he but he's just a bum. But Harold digs him up. But when you first see him, he's on the subway and he's all bearded and drunk, and he's just fucking ruined. And but then he gets cleaned up and he becomes the man in the suit and the Mr. Reese, the mystery.
That explains the devotion a lot more, though.
Yeah. Because he was thinking of committing suicide, and then Harold gave him a job, like
death wish.
Yeah.
And they just kind of like keep pulling people. Like it seems like the sort of thing where like all their enemies become allies eventually. Like I didn't like the lady who was like who was perfectly willing to resort to CIA torture and was just contemptuous, like in that trial of like, yeah, sure, I had to tap a few phones, I'll do it again. But like it seems like she becomes their ally, or is that inaccurate?
It's sort of
not the ally, because she's doing her own investigation, which happens to be also uncovering Samaritan. But she's not working with Harold or whatever. It's just like she too has figured out that shit's gone bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
And she got the bag over the head from our English villain.
Somewhere where you, Mr. Greer. Yeah. Fucking love that.
He had some Sir Miles kind of qualities, actually.
Yeah. Greer. It's an unfortunate you didn't get more Greer, because he's fantastic. As a villain.
I was thinking that, because he's like he was so excited that for the first time finally like a deity is watching over the world when he unleashes Samaritan. And I thought like that's a really interesting vision of like a neoconservatism where like God is dead, but like we're gonna make God because like we have this surveillance technology and nothing will escape its vision. I was like, that's interesting.
And his background is, getting back to the spy literature, like he's obviously not obviously, but he used to work for MI5. Like he's kind of a James Bond kind of guy. But he has a crisis of faith a la Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, and like all the governments of the world are corrupt and it's all fucked up, and like whatever I thought was going to unify the world doesn't exist, and so he becomes stateless and rootless, and until Samaritan presents itself as a possibility to him, and so he's got this like one world government kind of dream. I think that's another thing that makes him a compelling villain, and everybody in this, like, the stakes are really high.
Yeah.
And everyone's motivation kind of makes sense. Like, you get what Greer's, like, when Samaritan's like, look at all the wars and look at all the shit and like, look at the problems. Like, don't you want me to fix all that? You're kind of, you wonder why you wouldn't, but then you understand it, it would become China.
Right.
That's the sort of.
Yeah, the way it presents itself is like, it's got a kill list of like 100 people who are just like the grit and the gears, and if you just get rid of those people, it's all going to be fine. Like it's sort of utilitarian compromise that it's putting forward.
Yeah, actually, and I want to retract my statement now that I've heard you say that, and then I considered what I was saying is like, it's not going to be like China. It's going to be like everyday life now, but because the way he talks about the control, it's surgical. No one will question Samaritan because no one will know when it is accurate.
Right.
Like it's Foucauldian, and it's like expression of power. And it would just be like, yeah, like we wouldn't even really notice it. It would just
like the CIA, like just destabilizing shit where it feels it's necessary.
Only efficient at it, apparently,
Yeah.
Like, and but then we get into the theological language, and that really excited me when they started talking like that, talking about gods, talking about providence, predetermination, versus free will, all that stuff. Like, it doesn't make sense for an AI to have that much control over people. It could never actually work like that. But it's exciting as a concept, and it adds like higher metaphysical stakes to everything that's happening. Which, like, again, this was on CBS. That's fucked up. Not fucked up, but I mean, like, very surprising. Like, this is so smart to be on CBS at 6 p.m. in 2013.
Yeah.
But also really stupid though. It's very cheesy.
It's considered under subgenres a techno thriller.
Well, that's fair.
Yeah,
I'll give it that. A lot of thrills. Yeah. I just love that the cast gets so, like, I know Fat Oaf Fusco, maybe we didn't get to see his best scenes or whatever, but
probably true. I mean, I kind of figured that we're
I don't know. I thought we saw a couple good. I mean, see, and I remember, like, when you were talking about Chris, like, I was charmed by the drunken bar fight scene. I don't know why. It just felt like but it is a bit daytimey, But I thought it was cool that he went and sort of retrieved him that way and put pins to him until he reacted.
It's a bro moment.
There's a couple bro moments. The real bromance is Howard and Reese.
Oh yeah,
Harold.
Harold. Sorry.
Harold's
real love at the end. It was on display.
Yeah.
What did you think of the final episode? It's getting to the idea of like larger ideas, but also like heavy cheese.
It was a bit much. It was a bit Doctor Who-ish.
Okay, interesting. Right. Okay, actually, so one thing I should say about Root, I think it's implied, but she died the episode previous, but
I picked up on it. They said one of them mentioned it, like losing her or whatever, and I was like, she got killed.
Right, okay. I couldn't remember if I'm sure. Yeah, they're good storytellers. They give you the information you need. Anyway, the last episode. How did you feel about that one?
I just thought I don't know. I thought the power grid plot, with the boxes where it was like basically it was programming and building itself. That's getting a little Terminator-ish for me. Now this thing's constructing like hubs for itself to live and silencing staff or terminating staff that sneaks a peek at it. That was sort of an interesting little seed to plant, and then to have those hubs be like attacked by the other AI, by the Samaritan, which really was kind of funny to watch the last episode, because you didn't really, like, me and Chris didn't really get the build up of like how Samaritan was really like implemented and why it became a rivaling faction, but that's okay. But it was neat that it like attacked the other AI to sort of like devolve its like power grid to try to flatline it. It got really, I mean, there was a lot of like electrical voltage and 80s music and staring off into space. That's why I gave it the Doctor Who treatment. It was a bizarro episode a little bit. It was a little anticlimactic. No one died, no one got hurt.
So that wasn't the last episode that we watched. That would have been the second last episode we watched. Did you watch like the finale?
Or maybe I didn't. Oh. Or maybe I watched it first.
Well, Root would have been dead. Maybe you would have been really confused if you watched that one first. Like, well, yeah, so, I might. Spoilers: everybody dies.
The wrong episode.
How would you do that? So, like, everybody dies in the final episode, essentially, right? Like that, the rocket hits a building. Amy Acker's dead. She's like a essentially a ghost. No,
Jim Caviezel's definitely dead.
No.
Right.
Yeah, okay, I might have caught an episode the episode that we weren't supposed to watch.
Oh no!
I watched 5 in total. So
yeah, all right.
I caught the other one then.
Okay, good enough. That's fine. Well, so I'll ask Chris then. Chris, what did you think of the very last episode?
But some of the stuff that he said applies though, like there
it does,
to it. Yeah, I think I was a bit confused about a lot of stuff that was happening because one of the things that this show makes you do is accept that the machine is a good AI by putting Samaritan in its path as a worse AI. And so I was very confused as to why, like, was I supposed to feel bad that it was dying? Because I actually felt really good that the machine was going away. But it was like very much presented as like, this sad moment or like this passing. Sad for Harold. It's he considers it his child. That's all fine and good. But it's not clear to me. It's not clear to me what benefit it was providing, and except that they tried to present it as God, like learning about humanity in this like sort of ham-fisted way. I listened to people for a year because I wasn't programmed with the capacity to feel despair, and then I listened until a cop like said everybody dies, and then it's basically this fucking Hallmark moment that like convinces it like to go on its quest. Like if you mean something to one person, if you love some one person, if even a single person remembers you, you may not really die at all. And like that's the basis of its philosophy. Like what?
Yeah, so I'm gonna I hear you. When I heard that, like I loved that final episode, and I could watch it over and over and over, but it is fucking ham-fisted. But here's how I kind of paint over it.
Okay.
Because I think the series as like gives you more tools to think about that final moment, but because early on, before Root dies, she talks to Harold about like we're all simulations now to the machine. Like, and there's lots of episodes where you would go inside the mind of the machine as it's running programs and like simulation programs of trying to like get guys out of trouble.
Mm-hmm.
There's one episode in particular that's devoted to that concept, and it's
like calculating the odds sort of thing, or
not just like, but like going the characters will repeat the same sequence like numerous times, trying different attempts to solve the problem, and then all get murdered, and then it starts over again, and it keeps showing like, okay, let's try it this way, and then so it's simulating everybody over and over and over, and so Root is like, we're all simulations now. And as long as the machine remembers us, we're going to live forever because it knows us better than because it's watched us so often.
Okay.
And so like what they did in the final episode is take that philosophical concept and then they just put it on CBS, right? And they made it all heartfelt and goodbye-y. But it is the thing that like that's what the AI does. Like that's what the machine that's what its new purpose is, to sort of help people a little bit and remember everyone so that no one ever dies.
Which is what he told his dad, that like that was sort of the goal that Harold. This is also very CBS-y, but a little more deep, like a little more depth, that he wanted to design a machine that was like going to perfectly simulate his dad's memory so that it would continue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so then you're like, oh, Christopher Nolan, like Jonathan Nolan, Memento, like all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's all in there.
Kind of ties together.
And you're like, what if? Yeah.
There's some more depth to that. I mean, it is, still cheesy, but like it's more interesting than it appeared at first glance.
And it produces a good heuristic. And so Samaritan is just like, humanity needs to be controlled surgically, treated like an animal. Essentially, and I guess what the machine is like, I've saw an article about this. I think it's pretty true. It's pretty Kantian. It's like everybody, no one's a means to an end, and it will remember everybody. Like it will serve as a sort of heaven for humanity. Like it's the singularity. Like this is tech bro theology. And getting back to what you're saying, like it troubles me that I'm so enthusiastic about the ending of this. Like, I'm so happy when the machine comes back online, and then I'm like, no, it's a surveillance state. It's a theocracy. Like, it's fucked up, and it's super fucked up, and it's just right there, of course, on CBS in 2016. It's just like, this is the future that everybody's going to accept. This is the propaganda that's being put forward, and it's both disturbing and exciting, and
even the bad guys are privacy advocates, like the anonymous type group, right? Like that's
vigilance.
That's what bad guys look like in this universe.
Yeah, that's right. They're privacy nuts, and like, what? No. Incidentally, I forget if this is in the episodes, but like, Greer created vigilance as a grassroots.
Right. Yeah. It was. It was
in there. Okay.
Episode. It was a bonus episode you threw it. I decided to watch it, but it was like it was a false flag, right? It was like yeah, and then he sacrificed them so that they would so that people would accept Samaritan more.
Yeah, so it's just like sort of a dark money kind of astroturfy approach. Like, it's the show's like super cynical. Like, oh my goodness. But at the same time so hopeful.
So explain also in the final episode.
Mm-hmm.
There's that like assassin that what's her name? The other agent.
Shaw.
Yeah. She's like, she figures out that this guy had killed Root, and then shows up at his apartment at the end and is like, I used to have friends who taught me about mercy and like that human life has value. Too bad they're all dead, and like just like guns the guy down, which is not even true. Like, most of her friends are actually still alive, or at least Harold is. Maybe just Harold is. Oh, the cop guy too.
Fusco, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know, maybe she doesn't know that at the time, or
and then she went and had dinner with him after.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I hadn't thought about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess she's just upset about Root. Dude killed Root, so she was in love with
that's
Root.
fair. Yeah. It just seems like an unnecessary deception to go through.
Shaw's so she's neuroatypical, I would say. Like, she's sort of presented as emotionless. Actually, she's explicitly presented as emotionless.
Yeah.
Like, very, very cold. And she was actually a med student early on.
Okay.
But if she freaked everybody out, even though she was like a really great surgeon.
Oh, that's interesting.
And then she ended up, I don't know, she just looking for excitement, looking for that rush, and so she ended up kind of a Mr. Reese kind of character, working for Control.
Good at it. Yeah. Well, and there's that weird like pep talk that the machine gives her when in the last episode it tells her, Root would have wanted you to know that, like, if you were a shape, you'd be a straight line.
Right.
Yeah, like just going right through things. Like, oh, okay. And then she's like, it's okay that you're emotionless because like you got the job done.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need a hammer. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's hammer time.
Was that the episode I watched that you guys didn't?
No. No. That would have been that was episode 12, season 3. That's when they're in the bank vault, right?
Yeah.
No. That was that's with Claypool and all that stuff. Yeah. She's that's awesome. I just thought the cast was great. I liked that it turned into, like, they even had a dog at the end. Like, it was like the Bat Cave after a while. Like, it was almost literally there. And they turn into resistance fighters at the end, against some sort of state apparatus, which, I mean, they kind of were early on, but I was always just really impressed with how the show managed to not reinvent itself, but like find new angles to present of itself. That's hard to do, like, to stay fresh for so many seasons and like, and to get a proper ending.
Yeah. And Harold's ambivalence helps too, I guess. Like, he doesn't really know what he's created, and I guess he's kind of turning that over throughout the show, I would imagine.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right, actually. So actually, this is a good opportunity to talk some more about AI and like cultural representations of. So like, Harold throughout the series, and there's one episode in particular, like that If Then Else episode. There's a really great exchange where Harold is teaching how to play chess to the machine for the first time. And this is where the sort of Kantian idea is first implanted into the machine. He's just like, I like chess. We're playing chess. Chess is fine, but it is a holdover from an aristocratic era in which there are pawns and kings and queens, and like I can't play this game because like everybody's equal, and the machine should sort of think that way about people, which I thought was great, because usually chess is held out as like, when we talk about racist grandpa, he's playing 10-dimensional chess. Everybody.
What?
Stupid assholes say these things.
Yeah, that hurts.
Yeah, but just this idea that chess is like the ultimate strategy game. Like if you're very good at chess, then you're like fucking Sun Tzu or some shit.
Fair, yeah, yeah. It's funny to think of Donald Trump that way too, because
yeah.
I'd place a hard wager he has no idea how to play chess.
That didn't even occur to me, but I'll take that, man. I'll take that bet.
You want that? And if he does, he's awful.
Oh yeah, I bet. Amazing. So
I would pay anything to see him like play a game against. Just like,
oh my goodness,
yeah.
It's rigged.
The average 12-year-old.
Oh god,
it's all rigged.
Yeah, that's right. He wins in 3 moves.
Yeah. Oh no, what I mean is he would lose and then say it was rigged.
Oh no, I thought he'd win like almost immediately.
Just because he's a cheater.
It'd be rigged in his favor, yeah.
Yeah. So back to the Terminator comment you made, James. Like one of the writers, Denise Tsay, she in the final episode, like she has a background in the Terminator Sarah Connor's Chronicles, and actually everybody has. I don't need to talk about all the writers, but I just thought it was interesting, like that, like this is so whereas in the Cold War, the fear of AI was very like nuclear annihilation. It was very Skynet. This show is basically about the birth of Skynet, but it is in a post 9/11 environment. Like nuclear annihilation is never threatened in this story. Human destruction is like Harold's often talking about, like, if the AI decided that we were a threat, it would just obliterate us. It represents an existential threat. Like all the things that all those stupid assholes are saying about ChatGPT, Harold voices often throughout this series, but like it's not, this AI isn't an existential threat. Like it's a threat to quote unquote freedom, in a way that we tend, like almost in a kind of in a throwback way. There's almost something retro about it. Like I'm thinking about ideas about AI in the past prior to the Terminator were not about fears of annihilation, I don't think. I'm sure you could find exceptions or prove me wrong completely. But I feel that like there's a world in which computers and AI represent the threat of totalitarianism or social control. And then there's Terminator, where it's all about doom and gloom, we're all going to die. And then it goes back to person of interest, and I'm sure there's precursors to that, but and that's probably too schematic. But I do feel there's something there. I feel that like our attitude towards artificial intelligence has on a cultural level it has changed, and this is reflective of that.
Yeah, it's true, because it's the concern now is more being like you described in the onset of us all talking, is just like a complete robbery of your privacy, to the point where your conversations in private could be held against you. You could be, or like I was describing, where you could be like labeled. You could be tagged based on behaviors, work ethic, credit score, criminal record, and just be like, you can't enter here. You don't qualify.
Yeah.
That's a fear. Like that's and then to have that be just like controlled, not even by government, but be just controlled by a billionaire state, like we have now, like a capitalist state, just like just directing people where only rich, affluent people are able to avoid this being battened down into this slave world or whatever.
Yeah.
That would be more of a genuine fear.
And it's like, oh, go ahead, Chris.
No, that's I'm disagreeing. But I was thinking about some surveillance, like maybe like 10, 15 years ago, they were talking about using, like, it's the whole big data thing, right? Like it's creating connections between people, putting people into categories of consumer. But there's talk about how they might look at, tracking your grocery purchases, and if you shop in the healthy aisles, or are you bringing home Twinkies, and like that feeding into, say, like your insurance score, and like what category, what risk do you have? So like just like constructing identities or sort of categories based on like the massive amounts of data that's being pulled through.
Yeah. And so what Person of Interest dramatizes is our anxieties about those very things, like those very real, like products of not just capitalism, but just like, I don't know, modernity. And I don't know, I guess insurance factors into it. But it doesn't necessarily like serve the interests of capital. But it definitely, I don't know. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out what I'm getting at here, like based on what you'd said. I don't know. I'll just say for now, just a blanket term like anxieties regarding modernity, which is I guess the change. Like Cameron was just scared as shit and still is about the Cold War. Like the nuclear bomb fucked him up, and AI for him was in that era was just like it will hate humanity. But this thing doesn't hate humanity. It's just, or if it does, it just treats humanity like cattle, to be herded and sorted and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's that like the law enforcement sheepdog thing, right? Like you need, they'll be afraid of you, but like they need something that's gonna be more dangerous than the bad guys, or who can stand up to the wolves out there or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or kill them in their crib before they're even like that's power, Yeah, so I don't know. I just really liked this show. It's a guilty pleasure for me. James, your comparison to Doctor Who, not inappropriate from time to time. Sometimes it's pretty Doctor Who, and it's I don't know. It's not Stephen Moffat-y. It's not as playful,
it's true, but it did sort of like, I don't know, once the the coils were like generating that electricity, there's like machine gun fire sparking everywhere, and they were running the computer from the electrical grid through the laptops, and I was like, okay, well, wow.
Yeah.
This is dumb.
Yeah.
And also awesome. But,
yeah, that's true. Yeah, and like it does a great job of, to my mind anyway, like like you're able to suspend your disbelief because it's super fucking dumb. But it's also cool, man. Like the AI was hiding in the electrical grid, all throughout the country,
Yeah, and they give you enough to get just to dig some stakes into this universe that they've created. It's such very good world building. Like it's its own sandbox, with all these great moving parts by that point.
Yeah. You could easily see, like, it even ends. I know you didn't see, but it ends with like the story could just continue. Shaw could keep getting numbers. She could continue the Person of Interest storyline. It's never really over. And that, that's kind of cool. That's what you want. Like there's an ending, but there's also not. You can imagine further adventures, and you could drop people in. This could easily just be a comic book series in which more stories of interest. Like I'm glad that there isn't, right? Like I got to be honest, like I watched all the episodes, but some of them were pretty fucking tedious. Like we got a new number this week. It's Billy Joe, like you're just like, oh fuck. There better be something about Decima in this or Samaritan or I'm going to be pissed.
Harold Carrot. Was it Harold? Maybe I got his name wrong again.
No, you got it.
He carried the program. If we're being real.
Yeah.
He's a great actor. He's very compelling.
Yeah. Well, it's tough to do, like when he's talking to the machine, right? Like I know that's stupid. Like this show also does a really good job of portraying like something that could be catastrophically boring. Like computer. and it like it or it could just be like super embarrassing. And I think it, everybody's acting chops is for whatever it is they have to accomplish. Like even Jim Caviezel, he's perfect for his role, even though he's Jim Caviezel. Yeah, like when Harold's talking to the robot and he's you're my creation. It's you're just like, wow, like you feel it. You feel like everybody's got so much heart. It was so much better than it ought to have been. This could have been just the shittiest fucking thing in the world, and it kind of is, but it kind of isn't.
Yeah, I'll buy that.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. You could pitch this, storyboard it, and have a group of different actors do this, and just be like, oof, like I feel this could fall flat.
Yeah.
But everyone was really committed to their parts. Then and people that were campy, like the other assassin lady, the Hammer,
Shaw.
Yeah, like she was campy. She was supposed to be that way. Amy was campy. And then like they're like Jim wasn't, or like Reese wasn't campy. The detective, he had that stupid New York thing going for him, but he wasn't really campy. And nothing about him, you know what I mean? Like they had it inserted where they needed it to give you that light feeling about the show, and then other people sort of carried more acting chops. So it was just well placed.
Yeah. Good balance throughout. Well, I'm glad you liked it, guys. To the extent that you liked it, I know lots of questions. If you're anything like me, you're just gonna go back to binge watching the entire thing. No, I don't think that's true, but
count on it.
Count on it. I've watched a lot of episodes in preparation for this because I just got really excited. Like not all of them, because again, some of it's pretty fucking tedious. But there's some really good writing in here, and I like to go back to like some of the episodes were better written than others, and so I just follow around the writers and check it out. And you too could check it out. You too could be a person of interest head.
You should work for a person of interest.
You think so? You think like on their hype team?
It's got to make a comeback here with this kind of fandom.
At some point, yeah, that'd be so fucking sad.
It's great, honestly, for what it is, like for that genre. It's definitely like I see what you like in it. It's just a quality cut above. Like it almost feels like movie stakes. Or like HBO sort of production for a show that maybe didn't deserve all these actors and somehow did all this with a I mean I feel like it looked like it had kind of a large budget, to be honest.
Yeah, they were like some of the episodes, like there's exploding cars, there's miniguns outside roofs and stuff, but it also still looks very TV. Like, yeah, they had a budget, but they had a TV budget, like a good TV budget, or at the very least they knew how to, because I don't know, it's Jonathan Nolan. Like the Nolan connection, that's a thing. Like that's not nothing.
That's what gave it the beef.
Yeah, well, because this guy, like he went on to do Westworld after this, which I'll admit I never watched. But people really
not that good.
Not that good.
Oh,
okay.
No,
okay.
It's good.
I watched the first season. I didn't really go on with it.
Okay.
Maybe it got.
I actually didn't either.
Okay, there you go.
But I did find it quite good.
I didn't mind the first season, but I think the fact that it just didn't compel me to watch more downgrades it in my mind.
It's true. Yeah. True Blood's better.
There you go.
Okay, well, as somebody would really like this, I was like, I don't want to watch fucking Westworld. First of all, that's stupid. It's going to be a dumb.
I want to see the samurai one though. That was last season, I think.
Well, it was a Westworld one where it takes place in like a samurai universe.
Yeah, and they got the old guy that does all the sword fighting recently.
Okay,
very, very cool actor.
Okay, well, anyway, I guess the point was that they went on to do some stuff that, although maybe no one here either saw or very much liked, it was thought well of generally.
Yeah, that's fair.
And popular. And I don't know how this peripheral thing's going to work out, but anyway, they just went on to do some stuff, and of course Jonathan Nolan has his own sort of career, speaks for itself. Yeah, a little artifact, a little thing that shouldn't exist but did, and so thanks guys. I consider this a favor because I've loved this show for so long, and I'm happy to talk about it.
Yeah, man.
It was a pleasure.
Yeah.
It was awesome, and check it out. There
we go. And if there's any person of interest heads out there, you just drop us a line. It's gonna be. So maybe that's what I'll do after my Punisher podcast.
I was just gonna say that. Yeah, it could be your next project.
God, that'd be so fucking awful, but probably great at the same time.
You can still use your Frank Castle voice.
That's true. But until I use my Frank Castle voice, guilty will be punished.
Now, all we need is a little energon and a lot of luck.